the topic that I was given was case study of container services. So I have covered this topic as well, but I saw that your this week's training is about pricing. So covered few slides on pricing as well, because it is little different from what uh, railway does. Although the participants here are junior in the sense that in divisions or even in headquarters, rating and pricing is not in our purview. In fact, having worked for as senior DOM and senior DCM also, I personally did not have any idea how Railway Board does rating and pricing because it is a specialized subject. So therefore, I'll be covering that aspect also. Concor pricing is a little different from what Railway does in two ways. One is Concor pricing is rating is very, very flexible. It's not too heavily centralized as it is in railways. And there are a lot of schemes in pricing. So that gives us marketing edge over the competitors. So let's begin. So people should know that the container ships today transport more than 60% of the value of goods shipped via sea. So when we talk of container business, the vessels are the mainstay as far as their transportation from one country to another is concerned. Globally, 75% of break bulk cargo, that is loose cargo, is being shipped is containerized. Whereas in our country, it is just 50%. That means there is tremendous scope of lot of cargo which is yet to be containerized. So container business in our country is a sunrise industry. It's on a growth path. Our ports by next year will be having the capacity of handling 47 million TEUs. TEU is nothing but a unit of measurement of container, 20 feet equivalent unit. In 1819, India handled almost 15 million TEUs. 1920 official figures are not out, and therefore it would not be proper for me to quote a figure, but it will be definitely more than this. As far as Indian logistics industry is concerned, it is valued at 160 billion US dollars. And by next year, it will be 215 million US dollars. And in fact, global pandemic has not affected containerized business much. In fact, there is a spurt of growth in container business. There is an index called the Logistics Performance Index, and India is fairly placed. You all can see that we are at 44th rank. Globally, this industry employs 40 million people, and in India alone, half of the population is employed in logistics sector. The logistics industry is growing at a CAGR of almost 8%, and further growth, as I told you, it will be more than 10 to 15%. That is the kind of growth. So if anyone is planning his or her career in the field of logistics industry, and especially container business, this is the right opportunity to do so. Our GDP is around 2 trillion US dollars, and post-pandemic, it has again shown the path of growth. If you see the port throughput, which I just quoted, 14.68, as far as global volume is concerned, it is just 1 point, it's less than 2%. So again, it reinforces my idea and assumption that the logistics industry in general and container business in particular is a sunrise industry in this country and is having a tremendous potential of growth. This is just an overview of Nhava Sheva Port. Those who have visited, For them, it's not a new thing, but those who have not visited, my sincere advice would be to visit at least one of the ports, either Jain Port or Mundra Port, just to have an idea how containers are handled there. Officially, in 1922, there are 12 major ports in our country. They handle 705 million tons of cargo. As compared to 1819, there was a growth. So if you see how this growth was driven by high handling of containers, coal and fertilizer. Containers used not to figure in the total cargo handled at ports. But today you can see that they are a major chunk in the overall tonnage throughput of any port. In terms of TEUs, the total number of containers handled, that also you can see that there is a marginal growth, obviously because of the pandemic, but still it is growing. And as I gave the first slide, that even major ports of our country handle about 60% of total cargo. So it's not only a global phenomenon, in India also, ports are handling that kind of container cargo. Just to give an overview, the number of vessels handled by ports was around 20,837. And the vessel traffic declined nearly less than 1%, but you just saw that the tonnage and throughput grew. The vessel traffic in first quarter of 1920 had declined because of the onset of pandemic. But surprisingly, this cargo is again back to its original track. In fact, the trade between China and USA is the highest in 2021, and the same trend continues in 21-22, April to August. We are growing at a humble CAGR of 7%, and this is last 5 years. So this is a very conservative growth, but the projected growth is more than 10.5%. By 2024, so just 3 years hence, India would be handling around 33 million TEUs per annum. Container Corporation handled 3.82 million TEUs in 1890 and 3.75 million TEUs in 1920 because of the last quarter being bad due to pandemic. This deliberately I have kept but I will rush through because I thought that if there are very junior officers, I would like to educate them a little bit about containers also. So container is nothing but a large size, standardized size, resealable transport metal box. There are two kinds, 20 feet and 40 feet. So therefore, 20 feet container is referred as 20 feet equivalent, and it is a standard measurement globally. Everywhere in the world, the container throughput is measured in terms of number of TEUs. The 40 feet equivalent will be equal to 2 TEUs. So if you load 1 FEU, your loading will tell you that you have loaded 2 TEUs. All shipping containers globally follow the ISO, International Standards Organization standard, and countries generally tend, even for domestic movement, they tend to follow ISO. But certain countries have different size of domestic containers for their inland movement. So there are the domestic standard sizes. In India, in 1981, first ISO container moved. So it's quite a recent phenomenon. From the first ICD of Bangalore, Indian Railway have given its bookshed, which was developed as ICD. Everyone must have seen some container on the road trailer or on a train or on a vessel. This is a general purpose container. It's called a dry container, anything can be loaded inside. This is a flat rack container. Both the ends are collapsible, generally for heavy machinery, vehicles on track, big wheels, over-dimensional consignments. It's called flat rack. This is an open top container, again suitable for overnight dimension cargo. And at the same time, an end door is also provided. These are the most popular containers called double door containers or tunnel containers or end open containers. High cube container is as good as a general purpose or a dry container, but it's higher by 1 feet. It's almost 9 feet high. Otherwise, general containers are, sorry, it's 9.5 feet. Otherwise, containers are 8.5 feet. These are called high cube container for loading more. Then open side containers. You can see these are also called side access. There are many customers who prefer to load on the rake itself. That's called chassis loading. So they load through side access doors and then shut it on the chassis itself. This is a reefer container in which we move fruits, vegetables, and a lot of frozen meat. And it's very popular. In fact, from Dadri terminal and Kanpur terminal, almost 2.5 trains to Mundra, 1 train to JNPT, and half train to Pipavav. Meat is loaded every day. It's everyday traffic. That is the kind of volume. This is insulated container. This is similar to reefer container, and pharmaceutical products are loaded. This also has the charging facility, just like reefer container, and en route power packs provide electricity. So you can see blood, human organs, food, pharmaceutical products, biological materials, sensitive chemicals to move through this. Tank containers also you must have seen a lot of other than your BTPN wagons or OT wagons. Now these tank containers are also moved through container trains on flat, and a lot of edible oil movement, ethyl alcohol movement, a lot of hazardous chemicals move through tank containers. Now coming to services, what are the logistics services at any container terminal that are provided? First is of course train handling, then container storage, then at any EXIM terminal, which handles the export and import cargo, there has to be a customs facilitation, so big customs office with their custom bonded area. Then we also provide warehousing, all kinds of warehousing, so transit warehousing, bonded warehousing, and less than container load warehousing for aggregation of cargo is also provided. Any kind of associated value-added services. Value-added services could be in the form of palletization, packing, labeling, marking, assortment, marketing, providing e-services, anything that adds value to the product. Then door-to-door solution means first mile and last mile connectivity. And now most of the container terminals are also qualified as PFTs, private freight terminal. That means the private goods sheds, where even railway wagons can be handled, like say BCN, BRN, etc., or also handled in the container sidings. It's an additional source of income. How a container moves, most of us in railways are actually not aware. So I thought just to give an idea, you can see that from sea vessel, a container ship has arrived. At seaport, it is berthed. From seaport, the containers are loaded on the train. From train, it reaches to the dry port, that is the inland container depot in the hinterland. And from there, through first mile, last mile connectivity, the containers is supplied to the factory. In the reverse direction also, it is the same. So many people confuse what a dry port is. Dry port is nothing but a container terminal in the hinterland. Now what happens at the top? You can see unloading from train through the gantry cranes, putting it on the trailer, then unloading from trailer, putting it in the custom bonded area where custom examination takes place by custom inspectors. When it is released, then it is out of gate for the factory premises of the custom. These all activities provide earning to the organization that is confirmed. You can see the warehouse operation. This is a reach truck putting the pallets in the stack area, multiple stacking area. If you want to see this operation, you can visit Tughlakabad Depot. It's a beautifully operated terminal. Many of us do not even know how containers are handled. So I thought I'll just give an overview. So this is a rail-mounted gantry you can see. If you come to Tughlakabad, you'll find that on the 4 lines where trains are handled, there is a rail-mounted gantry. So it will pick up the container on rail itself. Whereas the red diagram shows a rubber tire gantry. It moves on road. The full gantry moves on road and picks up containers the way one container is being handled right now. I'll show you some more pictures for better appreciation. Then the yellow one is a reach stacker, right, which handles the container, lifts the container on terminal and puts it on the rail or puts it into the warehouse. The orange one is a forklift. Most of you must have seen at airports. This is a reach truck mainly for warehouses, the orange one. And the last one is a filling crane. You must have seen on highways, expressways, picking up the vehicles, damaged vehicles, accidental vehicles. In Concord, we generally don't use sling cranes. We use modern cranes that I just showed to you, RMGs, RTGs, reach stackers, reach trucks, etc. You must have heard the word multimodal transport. Today, when you go back after this lecture, you should be more educated with these terminology. Multimodal is nothing but you can see so many pictures that there is a train, there is a plane, there is a road trailer, and behind it, if you focus, you can see a ship also. So multimodal is nothing but transporting a cargo through more than one mode of transport. Interestingly, you will see globally, all roads lead to China, but roads lead in India. You can see the percentage of cargo being moved by different modes. And you see a good phenomena that in the US, railways carry only 48% of overall cargo, whereas roads are 37% only. Waterways, 14%. If you see China, the figure is still startling. Waterways is 30%. Railways just 47% and road 22%. If you see India, roads are 57%. Rail share is 36%. Waterways negligible 6%. Air, of course, everywhere it is just 1% because it's very, very expensive to send a cargo by air. So only most urgent and most expensive like gems and jewelry, etc. people generally use otherwise. So what will be good for our country is that we shift more from road to rail, not because I'm a railway man, but because it is good for a country. And we should develop more of waterways in our country. A huge country with so many waterways, still connectivity is so poor. So now this present government is focusing more on developing waterways and less dependence on road. Despite developing so many expressways, the idea is to have a more robust network of railways and dedicated freight corridor and develop the inland waterways. Quickly, I'll get to the railways carry 36%. You are one of the largest networks globally. You carry more than 1 million tons of cargo every year through rail. In fact, 60% of your rail traffic is carried on only 16% of rail route kilometer, that is golden quadrilateral. So what is required is that we switch more on waterways and rail to make it environment-friendly transportation rather than depending more on road. Roads carry 57 to 60%. Majority of freight traffic is again carried only on 12% of road. So therefore, you find that there is a need to develop more number of roadways and expressways. But yes, now modern trailers, 12-wheel trailers, 16-wheel trailers are on the road. Closed body trucks are on the road. They also carry specialized cargo. So, I mean, in a way, it is good that the dependence on rail for the trade has reduced, but at the same time, there is a heavy cost. So, if you transport it through sea route and rail route, the carbon footprints you save. Maritime, you can see that that is the major source of movement of any kind of cargo, and especially container cargo. Inland waterway, as I told you, India has recognized 106 waterways, out of which 6 are declared as national waterways. National waterway number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. National waterway 1 is from Varanasi to Haldia, rather Mirzapur to Haldia, which on this route, yes, some cargo has started moving. Some of you must have seen the news of Maruti cars being carried through inland waterway number 1. But yes, we are still far behind. Total navigable length of waterway is 14,500 kilometers and 5,200 kilometers of river and 4,000 kilometers of canals. So there's a tremendous potential. And yes, this country has to develop the inland waterway or the coastal way. Now, why I have emphasized that this particular two diagrams that I'm going to, two slides that I'm going to share, you just see that which is the cheapest mode. So if you transport something by road, it is 2.28 rupees per ton per kilometer. By rail, it is 1.41 rupees per ton per kilometer. And by waterway, it is just 1.19 rupees per ton per kilometer because simply of the economy, reason for economy of scale. If you see the fuel consumption, the most green method would be inland waterways. So 24 tons, 1 liter of fuel can move 24 tons by road, 85 tons by rail, and 105 tons by water. So obviously economy of scale works here also. So the overall vision of the Ministry of Commerce today is to reduce the logistics cost per unit, which we are very high globally. We are not all that competitive. Almost 14 to 16% of GDP is our logistics cost, and we have to reduce it to 7 to 8% because all developed nations, their logistic cost is much lower. Coastal shipping, you must be wondering that containers move through coastal shipping only. This coastal shipping is for domestic movement, and you will realize that today your ports account for 90% of international trade, but in country, only 7% of domestic freight is moving through coastal shipping. What I mean will be clear by the next diagram. See, you have beautiful coastline. India is blessed with such a lovely coastline on western side from Kandla up to southern Tuticorin, and similarly from eastern side Haldia to Tuticorin. Such a vast coastal land. So why a domestic cargo should not move in bulk with 700 containers, 750 containers in a ship rather than moving by rail or road? So yes, Concor does coastal shipping and moves domestic containers, aggregates at Kandla and moves domestic containers to Mangalore, Kochi, and Tuticorin. Similarly, on eastern side, now Haldia, Paradip ports are well-developed ports. Krishnapatnam port is already developed. Kattupalli near Chennai is already developed, and then Tuticorin. So this is the future of domestic container movement in our country, and rightly so. Here, as I told you, that it's a negligible percentage of 1%. First mile, last mile connectivity, if I talk, it used to be a theoretical concept. Today, Container Corporation does almost 1.25 lakh TEUs per annum through first mile, last mile. That means that is another business share. Today, what happens at our goods sheds? A train arrives at goods shed. Some contractor unloads it, takes it on his trucks to the nearest warehouse. We don't permit that. We not only bring our train, we also provide our trailers, we also provide warehouse. So every pound of flesh belongs to us. So that is the kind of earning one can realize by doing first mile and last mile connectivity by providing the road services. So it's again very, very profitable business today. Then with the help of Indian Railways, now timetable trains are running. Today 17 pair of timetable trains are running, giving assured transit to the customers. Say from Dadri to Mundra, we are making a train reach in 60 hours. It used to take 100 hours. This is saving of 40 hours. Similarly, Dadri to Nhava Sheva port in 38 hours. That means 1.5 days only. With the DFC coming, the time will further reduce because today's trade wants a guaranteed assured transit. Similarly, double stack trains. Double stack trains, we are running almost 250 double stack trains per day. Double stack has twofold advantage. Operationally, you can dispatch 180 containers on a train at a time. And commercially, on the upper deck, we charge less from the customers, almost 50% less. Then Concor has also started services offshore from Nepal. So from Kolkata to Birganj, from Vizag to Birganj. These two services we are providing. You can see 1,14,000 containers were moved in 1920. 2021 figures are still not passed through AGM, that is I'm not sharing, but this is the kind of business so is being done. Same thing is true with the Bangladesh also. From Kolkata to Benapole. Benapole is a station in Bangladesh. That services we are giving. 6 to 8 trains per month are being moved to Bangladesh. We can, in fact, there is a potential to move 30 trains per month. That means 1 train per day. But because of congestion in Bangladesh, they are not able to accept. So Railway Board has defined a quota of 8 trains per month to Bangladesh. If we talk of dedicated freight corridor, it will be very, very appropriate for this particular batch because you can see the both the dedicated freight corridors being shown here. The eastern corridor is from Dankuni to Ludhiana, and the western is from Ludhiana to Nhava Sheva port, connecting. So what Concor has done as a part of strategy that on both the alignment, it has developed a lot of container terminals. Any progressive business organization would like to do that and invest a lot of money because dedicated freight corridor operations has begun and we are dispatching, there is a terminal called Khatwas near Rewari. We are dispatching average 12 trains each way per day on dedicated freight corridor for Mundra and Pipavav ports. And by the end of this financial year, that is by March 2022, it is expected that even Nhava Sheva port will be connected. So you can imagine the kind of volume that will move. And now, presently on dedicated freight corridor, single trains are moving, but in future there will be 1,500 meter trains with 360 containers moving at one go. That is the kind of volume that will ride on DFC. So you know there are 6 DFCs, out of which 2 DFCs are likely to be completed soon. One is Amritsar to Dankuni, another is JNPT to Dadri. And now container terminals are being set. Needless to say that on the next slide I can show you that on DFC 25-ton axle loads will work. One container train will carry 360 TEUs. By December 2021, there is a likely completion date, although it might spill over to March 22. But 130 trains per day per direction is the kind of volume that will move when DFC is fully functional. And it will translate into 65 million TEUs per annum. You must have heard the word multimodal logistic park. So what is a multimodal logistic park? Any logistic park which can operate in more than one mode of transport, so at least rail and road. So it should have multimodal access. It should have access to Indian Railway freight lines. There is an ICD, dry port inside. There is a domestic container terminal inside. There are various kinds of warehouses available in the MMLP. Then this is a place where cargo aggregation and distribution takes place. Then all modern bridge stackers, rubber tire gantries, RNGs, advanced cranes are available for handling of cargo, fully paved area. I'll show you some pictures. Customized and modern warehousing. So customized IT application is provided. In fact, if if ever you get a chance, please visit Kathua's Multimodal Logistic Park. Today, Container Corporation has 17 MMLPs already commissioned, and 5, 6 more are likely to be functional by 2022. So these are the services that are provided. And why is it so? Because today's customer wants a single window solution. You can imagine the extent. Some 300 acres, 200 acres logistics parks are there. This is a Kathua's rail operational lines, rail side operations, crane handling containers on the trailer, the specialized cargo auto car for ATL Vasco is being handled at the same terminal, modern warehouses. You can see Newton Clean Stacks. The entire Lloyd AC, they have taken over one of the full warehouses. The Pickless Weighbridge. Trailer parking area, almost 40,000 square meter of trailer parking area. Where else they will park? You can see in the background Hindustan, factory of Hindustan Zinc Limited, our captive customer. Then how a rail side operation takes place. There were trailers carrying the shipping line containers. A double stack train at Kathua's is being formed. All of you can see that it is in the last stages of formation. And just to show a difference between a single stack and a double stack. These are the advantages of a double stack train. This is our train. Economy of scale, of course, more containers in one train, reduction in dwell time, faster in bulk evacuation, reduced carbon footprint, and of course, commercial benefit to the customer because we are providing concessional rate for upper deck containers, which are lightweight containers. So a lot of road containers have shifted to rail now because we are providing tariff almost equal to road or little less than road. This is a futuristic. It's a picture from a foreign railway because your DFC is also going to be electrified. So this is how it will look like, and this is how it will have electrified operations on DFC in future. It's a new concept called ILMZ, Integrated Logistics and Manufacturing Zone, meaning thereby, today what is happening? The trade opens a terminal and then spends a lot of money on first mile, last mile, then rail connectivity. So now the government is thinking that we should develop integrated manufacturing zone and provide logistic services at their doorstep to reduce logistic costs. So government of Andhra Pradesh gave us a land at Machilipatnam where we are developing a full-fledged ILMZ in 1,000 acres of land. And these activities, all kinds of industries, agri-processing, automobile, for you name an industry will be available. And from there, we'll be doing all the logistics services, right? Whatever services I told you. So container handling, customs, cargo aggregation, value-added services, customer IT application, warehousing, etc. This concept already exists in various parts of India. So this is overview of Interporto Bologna, Italy. It's a ILMZ, Integrated Logistics Manufacturing Zone. You can see in the picture a lot of factories around, and then there is a logistics terminal which is providing services. So in Machilipatnam area, in 1,000 acres, something like this Concord is developing. Even US has this kind of facility. So seeing is believing. Unless you see, you can't translate it into practice. So in Chicago, you can see the intermodal facility. Now coming to the charges, how charging is done. Unlike railway, here the rates are charged per TEU or FEU on the basis of distance slab, weight, lower deck or upper deck. Empty container and empty flat wagons are charged at different rates as per rates. As far as movement of containers is concerned, it is the rate circular issued by Railway Board, and then we charge cost plus basis. So what is the basis of rating? First, of course, is what is the cost that I will incur. Second is what competition is charging. Third is what kind of value and services I'm providing. I will charge some extra. If there is skilling required, I will do that. And if I need to be penetrative, where I have a monopolistic market, I can do that. So the destination-based types of tariffs on the basis of loading and empty containers. So between ports and terminals, there could be a tariff. Between terminals, there is a different tariff. Between private siding and container rail terminals and ports, there is a different tariff. This flexibility gives us a lot of leeway to negotiate with the customers. So for general containers, there will be a different tariff. Reefer containers are much more expensive. We charge almost 1.5 times more than general containers. Upper deck, we charge less. In hub and spoke, again, we charge little more because hub and spoke is nothing but in railway parlance, you can say 2-point destinations, plugging 2 points. Then we also believe in composite tariffs. That if a trade says that, sir, I do not want to break up of so many things. You tell me from Nhava Sheva port, you will bring it to Sonipat and you will do first mile, last mile, warehousing, value addition, everything. What is the final tariff that you charge? So we do this also, composite tariff. Ludhiana terminal is one of the best examples of composite tariff because there's a lot of competition. So rail freight, handling, transportation, all combined for stream, commodity-wise, category-wise, we devise the tariff. Hazardous cargo, we charge 1.5 times, 1.9 times more, so almost 20% more than the general cargo. ODC containers, 20% more than the general container freight tariff. Tank containers, 20% more on general container freight tariff because these are expensive. So this is the slab that we make, 20 feet container, 40 feet container, and then you can see that up to 10. And these slabs are decided by railway board on our demand. So you can see the slabs and then the weight slabs are fixed according to rail haulage payable to Indian Railways. This is how you calculate. So there is a haulage rate per TU given by railway board and there is a distance slab. So one question might arise in your mind that if tariff is decided by railway, then how do you earn profit? As I said, it is a concept called cost plus. I will add some margin over it and charge to my train. Every terminal port has separate codes that you all know. How to find the route, the distance between one terminal to another. You just click on this and you get the route and the rationale. So this is just an example of, say, from Tughlakabad to Dadri with, if I want to see the distances, this is what is the table, cumulative and interdistance, and what is the carrying capacity, what is the gauge type. So when my staff designs the rating, they all consider these factors. Rail haulage is as per distance and weight slab that we just discovered. We also charge 5% developmental surcharge because on the development of ICDs, you invest a lot of money. It's a highly capital intensive project. A 300-acre multimodal logistic park will require from 420, 430 crores. Then on IR haulage, Railway has given right now 5% discount. So we also pass it on to our customer. For upper deck movement, there is a 50% discount as compared to lower deck. Hub and spoke, we give telescopic rate advantage if Railway Board extends the same to us. Then there is something called TAC, Terminal Access Charge. On the railway goods shed, which is declared as container rail terminal, railway charges TAC and we charge the same from our customer. So for example, 1.6 lakh per week for inward and similarly for outward. So railway today earns CRT charges also and so do we. On our tariff, we multiply it with overhead charge of 1.9 per kilometer of loaded and 1.19 per kilometer for empty. Railway charges are from Concor, breakwan charges of 67 rupees for 20 feet container, 121 rupees for 40 feet container. We just charge the same from our customer. Then terminal cost of movement of reefer container. As I told you, reefer containers require, if you travel by Rajdhani or Shatabdi, you find end-to-end generators on each side for power supply. Same thing is done for reefer containers. So we charge for the power pack also. That is nothing but a generator. But then we provide a lot of volume discount schemes. So we add some cost of VDS and cost of empty movement, because railway charges, even if I run an underframe, I have to pay freight to it. So similarly, that is transferred to the customers. After all the consideration of the above, the margin is decided whether I'll work at 5%, 6%, 10%. So we charge 5% developmental surcharge because we invest a lot of money on the development of terminals. And so 5% development surcharge we take. But today railway provides me 5% discount on rail haulage. So we transfer the same to our customer. For upper deck movement, we charge 50% lower than the lower deck movement. In hub and spoke movement, we charge telescopic, we give telescopic rate advantage because railway also gives me the same advantage, even for 2-point rates. That is nothing but hub and spoke. As far as terminal access charge is concerned, it is nothing but allowing a rake on a container rail terminal. Any good shed which is notified as CRT, railway charges TAC. So we also charge from the customers. It is TAC generally in the range of 1.2 lakh to 1.8 lakh per rake. Each way, inward and outward. So we also charge from this. Now, overhead. Overhead is almost 1.9 per kilometer for loaded and 1.19 for empty. This we charge per TU basis from our customer. Railway charges, reclaim charges. We do the same to our customer. And as far as reefer container is concerned, as I told you that it's an expensive container. So we charge for power packs that provides supply, and even freight is almost 1.5 times higher than the normal container freight. But at the same time, we have a flexibility to provide a lot of VDS, volume discount scheme. Although we inbuilt the cost in the rating, but VDS is on the basis of volume. So any customer, say Maersk shipping line, if you provide 5,000 containers to me per annum, I'll give you, say, 20% discount. So this is a scheme which is very, very popular. Cost of empty wagon movement, because railway charges from us, so we have to charge from the customer. Considering everything above, a margin is proposed. The margin could be as low as 5%, could be as high as 20%. So these are the factors which, whenever rating is done, what is the volume that is offered by the party, what is the competitive market rate by rail, and what is the comparative road tariff. If there is an exclusive agreement, say from Hindustan Zinc Limited, there is an exclusive agreement. So I'll provide a much lower rate to SRL because it will be an annual volume of, say, 10,000 containers, 15,000 containers. So it also depends. Then empty container repositioning is nothing but any party wanting containers at a terminal where empty containers are not available, then we charge. And there are many terminals where we provide composite tariff rather than giving breakup of separately of rail freight, handling, transportation, etc. We charge a composite rate, as I gave example of Ludhiana terminal. This is a rate circular issued by Concor. You can see that from Balasore to Kolkata, that is called CTKR. So in different slab categories, and there is a approved tariff, which is a public tariff. Similarly, for example, you can see from DRT, that is in Mumbai, Dronagiri, Dino to Naya Raipur terminal. This is a tariff for 20 feet and 40 feet. And this is just a freight tariff. The handling, transportation, port-related charges will be in addition to the freight. So one should be careful because there are many times the faulty proposals are received from terminals or the areas. It could be a last-minute proposal, hurriedly made, half-baked proposal, or there is no operational feasibility. Even if a rate is given operationally, it won't be possible to carry. Then there is no proper justification for reduction in tariff sought by the terminal. or no projection of volume and growth is given, so therefore you cannot appreciate how much reduction should be given, or there is no projection of earning and profit margins provided by terminals, or there is no cost benefit analysis done. In case of extension of any tariff, no analysis has been done. So these are some of the issues that are generally faced, but then almost the method is streamlined. But yes, one has to be careful that whether these factors that I have just mentioned are taken into consideration while doing a rating, because it's a very, very important thing. I'll just touch upon the dynamic portion, although dynamic pricing is nothing but, you can say it could be in various ways. One is that seasonal tariff given. So Q1 there is a different tariff, Q2 there is a different tariff, Q3 and Q4 are the busiest quarters, so there is a different tariff. From an unimportant terminal, there could be a different tariff. For initiation of a business, there could be a different tariff. So there has to be a flexibility. So we generally maintain a window of 6 months to 1 year for tariff. It is not in perpetuity, but if we feel that yes, market can, all of a sudden fuel prices have increased, we immediately revise the tariff. And the customers know that. And we mentioned the validity of the tariff, that yes, these tariffs are valid for 2 months, after which it may be reviewed again. So that is the kind of flexibility and dynamism that CONCOR follows. What is the challenge for logistics today? So I will say that these 4 things summarize almost everything in this logistics sector. One is the very high logistics cost. So as I said that in India, it's almost 14% of the total cost. We have to reduce it to 78%. Then underdeveloped material handling infrastructure. Any railway officer will appreciate this. If you see and the good ship that a railway maintains, and if you see the terminal that CONCOR or any private party maintains, you can understand that yes, and still this material handling infrastructure has to be very robust. Then only customers will get a confidence to come to your terminal. Warehousing is one sector which post GST is integrating now, but still in our country it is a fragmented warehousing. Container Corporation at present has 3.5 million square feet of warehousing, and in next 4 years we are developing it to 15 million square feet of warehousing. That is the kind of demand of warehousing. In fact, in Delhi NCR area, Amazon, Flipkart, and many other agencies have rented out almost all the warehouses. This is the kind of demand in the consumption centers. So this is another big business vertical that CONCOR is looking for its future business. In fact, CONCOR will be giving tough competition to Central Warehousing Corporation because CWC warehouses like FCI warehouses are highly dilapidated and old. And then lack of seamless movement of goods across modes. And that is our job as a multimodal transporter. The customer should be worry-free if they hand it over to me at either a seaport or a dry port. Through whichever mode it moves, I have to ensure that it moves seamlessly. So I think here I will stop because the kind of input that I wanted to give for an overall holistic understanding, I think that was the input that is required. CONCOR is today amongst the Fortune 500 companies. It is your company, Indian Railways PSU, and a Navratna PSU, which aspires and dreams to become a Maharatna company. So please ask questions because as far as academic input is concerned, I am through.
Has it happened that you gave some kind of concession at a less important terminal and slowly it gained popularity, or maybe then it became a more important terminal? Has this happened because of the differential pricing? The customer
Yes, it does. It happens, and then we immediately revise our pricing as per the market condition.
Okay.
But idea is always to to promote the trade by giving them initial good tariff so that they sustain the business. It's a
But
highly capital intensive
so
business.
it becomes slightly popular and then again you increase the rates again. Does it sustain the way or then people again run away?
No, it does sustain. In fact,
Right.
there are many terminals. Khatwas, for example, is one which started 4 years back with 50 containers, 50. And today its volume is 50,000 containers per month. 50,000 per month. And most of our terminals are so strategically located and planned as per the market condition that the volumes have grown phenomenally. Yes, there are few terminals which were not doing good and we closed them. We don't decide to run. So in last 2 years, we have closed 14 terminals. And we are doing more business with 64 terminals today than what we were doing with 82 terminals.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Please ask questions. Otherwise, I have more inputs to give. It is not that I can highlight some more aspects of Concor just for your academic. Please ask questions. Whatever doubts you have, you can ask.
So private parties has also been permitted to participate in container corporation. So how it will affect the efficiency for the country at large and the business of the railways?
That's a very good question. Today there are 18 private players other than Concor. Concor is the market leader with 70% market share. It has made Concor more efficient because we are on the toes because the private competition is nearby. They are also doing good, but they are doing a business at much lesser margin than us. We being the market leader, we charge premium pricing. But because our services are so robust that people don't mind paying more, it was also an eye-opener. In railways, we always think that if we reduce the price, then customer will come to us. The theme here in Concor is that you improve your services so that the customer comes to us. So it is like a Mercedes-Benz that they charge more, still their sales don't go down because people don't mind paying premium if the product is good and services are good. Container Corporation today owns more than 350 its own trains, which competition can never even think of. They have 10 trains, 12 trains, 4 trains, because it's a very highly expensive proposition. We have 64 terminals and all are doing very brisk business. We are available at every gateway port of India. So this is the kind of expanse, but still private players are doing business maybe at a much lesser margin, but they are in the market. But there is no threat. That is what I want to say. Although I do not want to be complacent, because had not been threat, 100% pie has become 70%. So 30% has been taken away by threat. But then Concor policy is not to do the price war. Because if we reduce price, they'll be finished. They'll be wiped out of the market. So that is not our idea. In fact, we work as a traffic regulator, tariff regulator.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Sir, which are the commodities which are loaded in loose container? Loose commodities are also you put in the container?
Yeah, like soapstone, marble chips, tiles from Morbi area. Mostly the cargo is in bagged condition. But yes, there are certain things. Then iron ore also we are loading. That is in loose. Sometimes we have loaded sand also. But mostly it's a clean cargo that is being loaded. But we are open to any kind of cargo that is permitted by the government. A lot of white cement is being loaded today, marble slabs, granite slabs. You'll be amazed that clothes in hanger, as if they are your wardrobe, are being loaded in containers. And this Walmart, then your popular today apparel brands, you can think of H&M, for example. Anything that you can see in the market is being loaded in. All white goods are today being transported through containers. Now we are loading bulk food grain in containers, not in bags, bulk of ITC. We are loading from Kota terminal of ITC in bulk. And bulk business is going to be almost 14,000 containers per annum from 2023-24 onwards. That is the kind of volume we will be doing in bulk. For cement, bulk trial is going on. So by say December this year, we'll be starting bulk loading of cement in our containers.
So if such commodities are loaded in bulk, maybe then those containers are then dedicated to that commodity, because then once it gets cleaning may be an issue.
Cleaning is an issue, but yes, you are right. We are loading cement containers mostly in cement circuit. Otherwise, we get it clean and then supply to the customer. But yes, you are right. That's a good observation.
Sir, anything else what you want to highlight to improve the container business in comparison, as you told that US, China?
I will tell you there are four major areas.
What is our planning that we can also improve our share in the container corporation?
Yes, I'll tell you that today Container Corporation alone provides a revenue of almost 4,000 crores to Indian Railways per annum, which most of the railway office may not be knowing. So 4,000 in terms of freight only. That is the kind of. So now the new business verticals where other than plain organic container business, now as I told you that we are going for bulk loading, then we have started distribution logistics. What a distributor does, that we will be doing. So we have identified 20 nodes across the country from where we will be doing distribution logistics. Distribution logistics is nothing but providing 100 acres of land, developing warehouses on PPP basis. One has already begun at Chennai, PPP basis, and then doing first mile, last mile connectivity. So the entire business model has three legs of revenue. So distribution logistics is a big business that people are looking for. Today there is a huge shortage of warehouse, and we are going to capitalize on that business. Then third is the coastal shipping, as I showed that coastal shipping is another area. So bulk, distribution logistics, coastal shipping, first mile, last mile connectivity. And now I have not covered in the slide, there is a route, international INSPC, International North-South Transport Corridor. So we have already started exporting a lot of rice to Iran. And from Iran, it takes a long time to reach St. Petersburg, Russia, and Nordic countries. So a route has been identified and an agreement has already been done with Messrs. RZD Logistics of Russia. So now, presently, any container reaching St. Petersburg or Moscow is taking 60 to 70 days. With this INSTC route, of which Concor is one of the signatories, there are other 15 countries. So now the container transportation through rail, road, and sea will take 22 to 25 days. And a lot of business for Nordic countries, so Azerbaijan, Iran, Russia, then Helsinki. These places will be connected. In fact, first vessel has already sailed. And we are in touch with the Shipping Corporation of India to have one vessel of our own on lease and start this route called INSPC route. So this is going to not only reduce logistics cost, but also reduce the total transit time globally. Then we have started using domestic containers, our own made containers for export cargo with a special permission from customs. So Iran, we have already begun. So 1,000 containers of rice has already moved to Iran under that scheme. Then there is one more scheme. It is called e-business solutions. So today, AI-based logistic solutions are provided, and Tughlakabad will be one such depot. Anything and everything will be covered under artificial intelligence. So if one wants to see how his container is being loaded, whether it has been loaded or not, whether it is loaded on the rail, how much cargo has arrived, how many trucks have arrived, everything online information will be relaying and will be charging from the customer, because today's customer is ready to pay the charges. So maybe just permit me that, because we have adopted IT like anything. We do not, for last 2 years, rather 2.5 years, we do not use physical files, what is done in railways. We are completely completely a paperless office pan-India. And we extend the same facility to all the customers who wish to fill up the forwarding note or any kind of application. Everything is processed. The entire contractor billing is on EMB. No physical processing takes place. So today, if you see globally, all the corporate firms are utilizing IT applications. Just allow me some 5-6 slides. Maybe it will be a good exposure to the participants here. So it is called just a minute. KYCL. In banks, you see, they ask for your KYC, know your customer. We call it KYCL, so know your container location. The first concept is called continuous cargo visibility. Today, when you order something from Amazon, a dress or a flower vase or any item, or your laptop or an iPad, it just immediately, or a cake, you immediately start getting messages, sir, your transshipment has left. It will arrive in 72 hours. It is likely to arrive by this. The boy has reached your doorstep, etc., etc. What we are doing with containers is the same thing. The moment container arrives at a terminal, by using radio data terminals, which you can see in the picture, we immediately feed it. It is it is connected online to all the terminals. So there is a mobile app which is given to all the customers. So they can check their container location either through website query or through kiosk or using mobile Concor app or SMS. This is how the touch screens at every terminal, they provide every information. This is the screenshot of ICD Tughlakabad. This is a mobile app. It provides container number, train number, originating station, destination station, departure date, wagon number, last reported station. The entire data is integrated with customs through EDI, electronic data interchange. Anything that I feed, immediately customs get that information, and their people will immediately process it for the custom examination. Today, our customers get online delivery orders, online examination job order, online loading job order, online invoices, receipts, e-sealing, and online generation of pre-deposit account statements. This is again a new step. Even public grievance redressal for all customers is through online facilitation. So this, of course, I did not want to cover Concor in much greater detail. Otherwise, these are the things that we do. So a company, an Indian railway company, one should be proud, is a multimodal logistics service provider, environment friendly rail mode, presence across all major ports, air cargo, and reducing carbon footprint every year. This began its operation, and I told you that 88 first container was taken, but from 7 ICDs taken from railway, it started its operations. Today, it is a network of 64 terminals. These are the state-wise breakup. Lot of MPs and ministers keep demanding to open container terminal in their states. So 10 more container terminals are already under commissioning, multimodal logistic parks. Well, I think I'll end up here because all these things I have already covered in my. If you see the figures, then 1920 due to last quarter of pandemic, there was a dip. But I'm happy to inform you that in 2021, last 5 months, April to August, we have done the best ever throughput and best ever earning. And this year, the turnover of Concord is going to touch 8,000 crores.